In this video, my friend and I will be playing this Backrooms exploration games called DEREALIZATIOn. We spent over an hour playing this game and I spent a really long time editing. The lore of this game is very deep, and after this video, I feel like you should play this game. I will note, I did not have a voice recording for this, so it might get boring at some point.
Help
You
me!
shut up! Oh my... Anyways, let's get on with the video.
Alright, it was a dead end. We're gonna have to start over. If we don't do anything, they'll disappear again. I know where to look next. Wait, do I?
Prologue. Your family disappeared half a decade ago. Although they were never found, you and your friends haven't given up. You are determined to solve the mystery of their disappearance, but you're wondering how you ended up in this strange place.
Follow the exit and follow the arrows.
As we met up, we were trying to figure out what all the controls did. After that, we decided to listen to the note and start looking for the arrows to head to the exit. After exploring for a moment, I found a light that seemed to be brighter than the others, and shortly after, my friend noticed an arrow, which pointed us straight to the exit. And that would conclude our exploration through level 0, and now begins Pipe Dreams. Our goal in this level was to find 3 buttons which would allow the exit door to open and allow us to escape. Shortly after my friend finds the second button, he immediately finds the third and allows us to go to level 2, the pool rooms. Pipe Dreams was short, but I still enjoyed the atmosphere. Now we move on to pool rooms. I looked over and I saw a hole of some sorts. After interacting, I realized it was a well, which had a key inside. Then we pressed on. Shortly after, my friend finds a door which he uses the key to unlock, which allows us to run to the exit. The pool rooms was short, but had a nice atmosphere. Now we move on to the suburban. Who is Z? Are they trying to help me?
looked around the parking spaces and we found a key next to a bag. It'll likely unlock the door of that glowing shed over there.
Who could Z be? What are their intentions? And they've left helpful notes for me.
As we find the notes, that concludes our exploration through the suburbs. Now we're on to level 4, the Blackout.
That would conclude our exploration through the Blackout, and now we move on to level 5. After finding 3 paintings, I realized, hey, it's probably a sliding puzzle, so we only need 3. Until I realized we're not sliding the pictures. After placing 3 of the pictures correctly, we didn't know where to find the 4th one, although it was literally right in front of our face. I'll speed this up for you so you don't get too bored. My friend had checked there, but the picture looked blank, so he didn't bother checking again. Although after a bit, I did find it, and we moved on to the next section. We thought that was the exit, but it was closed up, so we realized we had another puzzle on our hands. We kept searching through the cells, trying to find either the puzzle or more paintings. Except we were coming up empty-handed. Although as soon as we moved to the next section, we immediately found the puzzle and one of our missing paintings. As soon as I found the last painting, I politely instructed my friend to place them down, as we had a shared inventory. That would conclude our time in level 5. Now we move to level 6, the airport. As soon as we entered, though, I figured that I couldn't go through the doors until my friend found the very obvious switch on the side of the building and turned the lights on.
Is this place being renovated?
The monitor immediately caught my eye as I decided to look around. I tried to type in a password, but of course that was wrong, as I just spammed numbers. So I looked around, and lo and behold, the password was right next to me. When I put it in, the gate next to me opened up, while also crashing the monitor. As I walked in, I noticed a few advertisements, one for soda, a phone, and something else I didn't read. The lights flickered, and my friend and I thought that was a little weird. I decided not to go down those stairs, and instead look for the candles that we needed. I had already found one, so it was a matter of time before I found the third. I looked over to my right and saw a suspicious red light in the darkness, and decided it was a good idea to walk towards it. Although as I walked closer, I figured out it was some sort of elevator, and that we needed to use the candles to open it up. After finding the last candle, my friend immediately knew where to put it, so I headed to the elevator. As I entered the elevator, I saw a plant, and that was pretty much it. After waiting a moment, I got out of the elevator and looked forward to see 2 puzzles and a door. Of course, I knew that we had to do the puzzles to open the door. After a lot of turning, I finished the first puzzle and my friend made it. After turning the last one, we opened the exit and my friend left the level. Of course, that brings us to level 7, Nuclear Winter. After wandering around for not too long, we found a dynamite and a lighter. Watch your head. For what? There was nothing, but I tried to pick up the dynamite. We ended up leaving and then walking back, but then I picked up the dynamite somehow. I don't know, it wasn't working before.
This looks like a vintage military radio. What is this place?
After that, I decided to leave the room, and my friend found out where to place the dynamite. He then lighted it and stepped back. As it blew up, he found a water jug, and we decided to scale this icy cliff. After climbing back down, we saw a fire in the distance, which we knew the water was going to be used there. As we put out the flames, we entered the sort of watchtower building. We found a crafting table of sorts, and my friend began searching for parts. My friend had found pieces to build what looks to be a hammer. I found scissors. As he found the last piece of the hammer, he assembled the hammer. We didn't know what to use it for. So we left the building and we decided to look around. I ended up wandering to a small town-like area where I found an empty shop sort of thing, and then I found a door which had boards on it, which I, of course, used the hammer on, and after I opened it I realized there were vines, which I used the scissors to cut. After shortly looking around, we deemed there was nothing in here until we turned around and looked at the giant white arrow.
The water has drained.
After grabbing the key, we of course went to the car to drive away. Although my friend, who was a little slower, stayed behind a bit, so I entered the car without him. Now we move on to level 8, the Escherian Staircase. I started ascending up through the stairs, and I realized that it might take me a little while to get up. I apparently lied about the little while, and it was actually quite fast, as I exited to the next level, level 9, to the forested jungle. The vibes were calm and the atmosphere was warm as the sun shined through and the plants grew. We wandered around for a bit until I found a tag which had a circle and the number 3 on it. And I was determined to look around for even more until I found a square with another 3 on it. My friend noticed there were knobs on the side of the box, and then I shortly after found a shovel, which I tried to dig the dirt. Till I realized that was wrong, and I dug these dirt instead, which I found not one, but both the missing tags. Shortly after, my friend put in the code, and we got the key to the exit. Not that one. That would bring us to level 10, the house.
I need a ladder.
Even though I quote-unquote need a ladder, I saw one right there which I could have used. And shortly after, I found the actual ladder right behind these couches. That brought us into the attic, which apparently the map brings us to the next level, level 11, which is Fire Hill. You'll figure out why it's named that shortly. This place had an eerie atmosphere to it. It was all run down and abandoned, dirty and rusty.
Wait, Zachary Holt, that's Z. He's trying to help me. He was leaving notes to help me solve the mystery.
From the last picture, we had discovered that we needed to find a rose for a grave outside. We ventured on and discovered why Fire Hill was called Fire Hill. And I found this calming blue lake as my friend quickly found the rose. I sat in the lake for a moment, observing its beautiful nature, after looking at the fire. I then shortly returned to the grave to put the flower. Somehow the rose powered on a car and my friend quickly ran over to the car. This brings us to level 12, the fun rooms.
I need to count the party hats.
I quickly got to counting while my friend waited at the keypad. I gave him a number, which was 10, although I didn't see the party hats on the floor, so 10 was incorrect. After seeing the 3 party hats on the floor, I decided to look around to see if I had missed any more, which I hadn't. The number was actually 13. This allowed us to open the door and find a mysterious orb, and the ladder we needed to go to the next area. I stayed back for a moment and messed with the orb. After we placed the ladder down, we went through a vent, which we thought would bring us to the exit, but in fact, just brought us to another part of the fun rooms. I wandered through the play structure, looking at various things and finding a teddy bear, while my friend looked around and found that the password was the amount of teddy bears there were, plus the amount of slides. So I went around counting the teddy bears. There was 3, and 3 slides, meaning the answer was 6. Would this be the exit? Well, of course it was. They couldn't do it more, right? This brought us to level 13, the movie theater. I quickly found a pattern on the floor which would come in handy later. And then I turned and found the exit door, which needed a passcode. My friend started wandering around off without me and found a graphics card of some sort. I wandered to the left to movie theater 1. I entered and saw the video saying impression. Walked up to the laptop, put in the storage card, and I played the video. You can use the pattern there to figure out the code was 09411. I did need to watch it a few times to fully memorize the pattern. I told my friend that I knew the code, and quickly ran to the keypad. I put in the code 09411. 411. It opened the gate and I turned around to look at my friend, but he wasn't there. Alas, I entered the exit, which brought us to Afterlight. One of the more difficult levels, I must say. We wandered around for a moment, finding 2 locked doors and the words "No escape." Shortly after, we found a jug of gasoline and a screwdriver. My friend had found a generator, and I put the gas in. I noticed that a door had unlocked in the previous section, so I walked up to it and opened the door. Having a look inside, I saw the white arrow and used the screwdriver on it. This allowed me to unlock something, which was the other door. So I entered there and found what seemed to be an old computer. It needed some sort of disk, though. You see that paper with the X? That's where the floppy disk is. Except we didn't know that because me, being the smartass I am, decided to open the boxes instead and wander around for 20 minutes. Anyways, I will skip to when we find the disk. Inside was the floppy disk I mentioned and a crowbar, which I realized we could use it on the bars. Although I wanted to check out the computer first. I told my friend what to do with the crowbar, which unlocked a new area for us. This was likely the exit, and there was an X on the wall. Now me, remembering the X had something to open up, I tried to break it, but this time it actually was nothing. We were, as you say, stuck. So I visited the computer. After clicking around a little bit, I figured that the green doors were unlocked, of course. That we could lock them. And after locking them, only one door could be unlocked. So if we lock a door and all doors are locked, we can unlock one door. That definitely made sense, I think. So, after closing one door, I decided to visit the laptop again and test my theory. Of course, I tried to unlock it and it worked. So, I visited this section next to me, which had another floppy disk, which I put in, and it had a puzzle on it. But me being the smart guy I am, I solved it pretty quickly. I had originally thought they were like nonograms, but I figured out that they were not, and you just had to fill in the amount of circles that the number had. Which I found mistakes for and immediately solved it. This unlocked a certain area at the top, which I now could unlock. Previously, it was blocked by administrators, which kind of confused me. Then I realized I had to close the door, go back on there, lock it again, and unlock the top section. I had run to the wrong area, and of course, the area past the bars was not the exit, and was in fact the next area we had to go to. My friend found a floppy disk in this area, and I put it in, showing another puzzle, which was kind of easy. This puzzle, of course, unlocked the other administrator area, so I waited for my friend to close the other door before unlocking the exit door. I was a little impatient, you could say, but eventually the door closed and I could unlock the administrator area, which we both headed for, because it was the exit, of course. Or was it? No, this was absolutely the exit, even though we did wander around a bit, and my friend quote-unquote died after we found out running too much makes you black out, which I decided to test out for myself. After I had blacked out, my friend decided to absolutely head for the exit and leave me behind.
I was in the facility, but it looked empty. Could the evidence be hidden in the other sector?
This, of course, brought us to level 15, the metro station. I wandered around for a moment until my friend found a key, which I knew the door for. I found a light switch puzzle, which was kind of annoying. I absolutely hated these puzzles, but I very quickly just solved it. My friend had somehow found the exit, so we went to level 16, Snowfall. We were getting pretty tired of this, as we were blitzing through levels, but we decided to press on. We decided to look through houses to find parts for keys. I had found one, but my friend immediately used it. I don't even know where he used it. He just did, immediately as I got it.
It won't open. I should check the houses with their lights on.
There is a lot of wandering in this level, so I'll speed it up for you, or just skip to this time if you're not interested. In this section, we were looking for generators, and it did also take us a little while to finish this section. After that, I used a lever to open a room, which gave me a key. There was also a giant generator that wasn't used. We then opened up a giant gate, which led to the next area. After venturing around for a moment, I found a train station where there was a lever here to power the train, but me being the blind guy I am, I didn't see it, so yeah. After venturing around for even longer, my friend eventually checks the train station and finds the lever that I couldn't see. That brings us to level 17, the aquarium. We did get stuck here for a moment, but we did get it eventually. This was a memory puzzle, which I did struggle with, but my friend only got it because it went in a friggin' circle for him. Like, why couldn't my pattern be like that? That's so easy, bro. After going through this pipe, we found what looks to be the exit, but it was closed. So we went back and I found a puzzle. You know, one of those pipe puzzles, like directly to the right. Anyways, that one was pretty easy. Somehow, after finishing the pipe puzzle, the exit opens, which I don't know how that works, but that brings us to level 18. It was also pretty difficult. It was quite confusing, even though the beaker was right there. The beaker in question is right next to the paper. All we had to do was pick up that beaker. So, I'm just going to speed it up till we pick up the beaker. So, after you pick up the beaker, you're supposed to follow the instructions on the wall. And I was a little impatient. The water's still heating up and I tried to pick it up 20 times. Anyways, after you get the picture, we use the picture to put in this code, which opens a door somehow. I don't even know how that's a door. It just opens, whatever. That brings us to level 19, which was really easy. We just made it unnecessarily complicated for ourselves. So the lights are gonna flash in an order, and you're supposed to put it in the little buttons in front of the garage. Yeah, that's like really easy. Anyways, it took us a really long time to figure out which way the lights were going, so I'm just going to speed this up. Anyways, that brings us to level 20, Solitude, where there's a van in the desert. I don't know. I don't know. What do you want me to say? As I looked inside, I noticed a Plague Doctor mask and a battery that I took out from the flashlight, which allowed us to repair the tablet. We figured out the password was the year, month, and date from his birthday, which I didn't look at, but my friend told me.
This is Z's van, but what happened to it? There might be more to this mystery. It's pointing to the exit.
This brings us to level 21, Library. The objective here was to match the room with the painting. That's how you unlock the exit. But this took us a moment to understand, and I did mess it up once.
It's a picture of this library, but something feels different.
We messed around with the paintings and the objects until we figured out the correct orientation for this. This brings us to level 22, the Forgotten Sanctuary. After looking at the wall, I realized that I needed to change the time to figure out the code on the wall. We figured out the daytime password, but then when we looked for the night one, there was only an X. Until I passed the very obvious lever, which then my friend flicked it and found the code. And that brings us to the end of level 22, which brings us to level 23, Isolation. Going into this, it was pretty dark until we found the very bright glowing house, which had this type of puzzle, and I struggled on it, but I have no idea how my friend did it. He just did it, and look, I don't know, I have no idea how to describe this. He just did it, and I have no idea how. Level 23 was pretty short. Now we move on to 24. Cover Up. As soon as we entered, I opened a door and headed in. I realized we couldn't open the manhole and there was a sliding puzzle. You know those mobile ads where they slide the car out of the parking garage? Yeah, that was this, and I somehow did it. I have no idea how. I just did it. Yeah, I guess I'm goated. I don't know.
Where does this lead to? I have to find out what they're hiding.
This brings us to the final level. Level 25. Underlight. Arguably the hardest level, but it's probably because I'm an idiot. This is likely where most of the cuts will be because this stage took us the longest to understand. It was mainly because we got stuck on a puzzle that had a really obvious solution. I'll tell you when that is. Really, we were just looking around trying to figure out what we were supposed to do. But of course it was that generator which I had messed around with. There were notes on the side of the generator that told us how much we were supposed to set the generator to. Of course, it was just basic math, so we quickly figured it out. That puzzle had unlocked a door with a computer in it, although I have yet to walk over there. When I walked in, the first thing I noticed was the computer and the key. The key was obviously to unlock the receptionist area downstairs, even though I tried every single other door, until I eventually got it. Inside the receptionist area, I found a floppy disk, which obviously was for the computer, so I quickly rushed over and put it in. It had a puzzle where you had to slide boxes. Now in the beginning, I didn't fully understand what puzzle I was supposed to make, until shortly I came off the computer and looked to my left. The pattern I had to make was right on the wall, so I quickly headed back to the computer and made the pattern easily. Doing this puzzle unlocked the door directly across from the computer room. Currently it had nothing inside, but that's because I needed power. My friend had wandered off for a bit, but he somehow found a floppy disk and a metal pipe. I immediately knew what to do with the floppy disk. However, I don't even know how he found the metal pipe. Anyways, floppy 2 had the map, so this is how I changed around power. Although I needed administrator access, which confused me because I didn't have another puzzle. So I looked around more. So the metal pipe was actually a glow stick, and it showed the fingerprints on this keypad. But me, being the idiot I am, I didn't realize those were fingerprints. That's the puzzle that stumped us. It gave us the answer right there, and I didn't use it. So we ran around for another 10-20 minutes maybe. I'll just cut when we figure it out. It's kind of embarrassing to watch. After doing that, I had realized that the answer was right in front of me the entire time. So I rushed back to the computer and fixed the power. I had told my friend to close the door and patiently waited. Patiently waited. Hurry up, bro. As soon as he closed the door, the computer detected someone in the room, which made me annoyed that I had to wait for him to open it, exit, and then close it again. Anyways, After he did that, I had to reroute the power to the room closest to the computer. I had found a remote explosive in the bottom corner. I went to the computer and plugged it in. Now all we had to do was figure out where to put the explosive. But before that, I decided to check out the other room, as I hadn't opened it before. I had found a valve, which my friend immediately knew where to use it. So, he used it. My friend had figured out where to put the dynamite. He put it in front of the door. So of course I powered the place where we had to go after blowing up the dynamite. My friend headed up the ladder and quickly escaped.
The evidence is behind this door. Wait a second.
Epilogue. The main character, born with mental health issues, was taken to a psychiatric hospital after the tragic disappearance of his family. Unable to accept his loss, he uses his imagination as a way to cope. He tends to imagine himself and his friends as detectives who are determined to solve this mystery of his family's disappearance, believing that it is possible to bring his loved ones back. The story he follows is a metaphysical interpretation of the real police investigation, which was aired as a documentary on live television. In his interpretation, a level represents a memory he presented through a liminal space, which corresponds to his anxiety, disorientation, and unease. He finds himself in a constant state of derealization. Imagination is the only weapon in the war against reality. The end. Overall, I think Derealization is a really well thought out story, and I really thank you guys for watching till the end. If you really enjoyed it, I think you should check out this game and maybe give me a like or maybe a subscribe, just by chance, maybe, possibly, please, maybe. Anyways, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.